Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam Bilsing and this is Dirty Bandana Music, and today we're doing an unboxing video on this Proline PL402 keyboard stand and tier. Watch as I hilariously try to pick up this gigantic box. So I got this thing for my home recording studio. I wanted to have a nice tall keyboard stand that I could use for my little MIDI controller, that also left room for maybe eventually putting up a controller with weighted keys that was a little bigger. So that's what I had in mind when I bought this thing, was using the top tier for what I have now and then leaving the bottom tier open for eventually a bigger keyboard controller. So this thing is a pretty huge box and a pretty big footprint of a stand, but it works really well. I've got it set up now and have my little Arturia keyboard controller up on the top there. And as far as the height, this thing for me is tall enough that the top keyboard stand is playable while I'm standing up. I am like 6'4", pretty tall guy, so it's a pretty tall stand, and I have a standing desk in my studio, so it works really well. It got this keyboard controller off the actual desktop, but it still is at a height where I can use it standing up with all the rest of my workflows. So if you're a keyboard player, I'm sure you're very familiar with how these things work. It's all just some pretty simple little ratchety joints with big thumb screws. This thing has some pretty nice construction. It looks like it has varying levels of the whole big X stand, so you can do height adjustments there, but as you go lower, the keyboard supports are going to be farther and farther apart. So if you've got a small MIDI controller, you probably can't really get this thing down too low unless you start using the tier adjustment in creative ways. But I'm a pretty big fan of this thing. It all seems to hang together really well, and it doesn't wobble around or anything like that. It's a nice solid piece. There's a little lever that you have to pull in order to loosen the joint so that you can adjust the height and sort of spread that thing open like an X like that. So keep that in mind. Pull the lever, you don't have to just force it apart. And you know, that's about it. It's a keyboard stand. There's not a lot to it. It's a nicely made keyboard stand, and it's really doing the job that I was hoping it would do, being as tall as I needed it to be. So definitely would recommend. Pretty good one. If you want to see any links to learn more about it or get dimensions or anything like that, just check out the description below the video there. So that's it for this thing. I'd like to thank my friends over at Red 11 Media for producing this video along with all the rest of the content on my YouTube channel. If you'd like to follow along with me on the internet as a whole, you can catch me over on Instagram at Dirty Bandana or on my website at dirtybandana.com. That's it for now. We'll see you all next time.